Well, good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us and thanks for being here. It is November the 29th, 2025. We're live here at WCCO every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Bank, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team Remax Advantage Plus. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. It is the Saturday after. Everyone's probably in a little food coma here, and excited to be here. Scott, good morning, buddy. Good to see you, friend.
Yeah, good to be here. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope everybody had a great time. Ate too much food like I did. I was just telling Ryan that's enough carbs for about a year. Hopefully everybody had fun with their families and had a lot to eat and enjoyed the weekend. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us live during the show. You can either text us your info or your question on that text number, or you can just type in with whatever social media post you're on.
Yeah, again, appreciate you joining us. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Hard to believe, kind of zips by on us. We got a little snow coming down here this morning, driving down downtown Minneapolis, got a little snow, and sounds like we're going to get a couple inches here today, but we're getting ready to go live on air again. Appreciate you joining us. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. Interrupt us at any point with your questions, comments, thoughts. Good morning. Nice to see a number of good mornings wherever you're catching us on social media. Good morning to you as well. Thanks for joining us, and we're going live. Good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for being here. Saturday morning, November the 29th, 2025. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Bank, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team Remax Advantage Plus. We appreciate you being here. This is a live and interactive real estate show. We welcome your questions. You can call us or text us at any point, 612-294-6949, 612-294-6949. Comes to us right in studio here, downtown Minneapolis. Scott, good morning to you, bud.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, like Ryan said. Love your comments and feedback through the entire show, 612-294-6949. Happy post-Thanksgiving. Hope everybody really enjoyed their family and had a ton to eat and a lot of fun. That's what you're supposed to do in the holidays.
Scott, you loaded up on some carbs, I heard.
I did.
A lot of stuffing.
A lot of stuff. That is my once a year deal. I love stuffing. So,
do you really?
I do. I love stuffing. I ate a lot of that. Not that much turkey. I'm not a big. I'm a big believer. I don't think anyone really likes turkey.
Really?
Did you order turkey when you go to a restaurant?
Whoa. I like turkey. So yes. Thank you, Josh.
So you go out to a turkey or out to a restaurant, you say, I think I'm going to have some turkey, mashed potatoes, and stuffing.
I'll tell you, I have had a number of subs over the years from Subway and other places, a turkey sub.
Yeah. Oh, you do turkey on Thanksgiving? Well, it's one of those holidays where I'm like, really, if you had the choice, I don't think people would choose turkey. I think you just do it to fall in line. You do it to conform, Ryan.
To conform. Interesting, Scott. Interesting. Probably an unpopular opinion, but that's okay.
This is an interesting, really quick story. I'll tell you. Back when I was married to Andrea, my mom was coming up for Thanksgiving. My mom and Michael were going to come up to our place for Thanksgiving. Well, we had already had Thanksgiving. And so they were coming in a day later. So I said, well, let's just do a prime rib. And so Andrea and I did a prime rib. And that they came for Thanksgiving. So the next year, Mom and Michael were going to come for Thanksgiving again. So my mom called Andrea and said, hey, can I help out this year? You know what I think I'll do? I'll bring the turkey. And Andrea was like, that was a dig.
So it was a polite way.
It was a polite way of saying we will have turkey on Thanksgiving.
It was a polite way of your mother, who I know, to say we're having some turkey. But we hope you all did enjoy some turkey. Some stuffing, and hard to believe it's already again the Saturday after here. 612-294-6949 is how you can interrupt us. Let's do a quick real estate update here. The first segment, new listings in the Twin Cities, very similar to last year at this time. There were 1,022 new homes for sale. Pending sales, also very similar, 775 pending sales, just down slightly, down 2% year over year. And then the inventory is about the same as well, 10,190 homes for sale. Scott, maybe the interesting one we can comment on, it came out, Realtor.com shared that the first time since 2016, new construction outpaced household formations with more than 1.6 million units completed this past year. That's the highest level in nearly 2 decades. And they said while builders are making progress, it would still, however, take about 7.5 years to close the housing gap at last year's pace. Interesting, Scott.
Well, it is. It's interesting when you remove regulations, which is what's been happening. We figure that new construction would then jump back in the game. I don't know if people track the show, but for builders to build a house, there's, depending on what city you're in, what area you're in, it can be 20 to 30% of the entire build goes into fees and just garbage. And so when you eliminate that stuff, hopefully builders will not copy the grocery stores, and builders will actually look at their profit margin and what it actually costs them now and make it more affordable. The problem when you've got people that are used to paying a certain amount, even though now it's becoming more profitable to build a house, hopefully they'll give a little bit of that back and not just stick to the current number.
Yeah, even interest rate update here in the first segment. Again, Luminate Bank, Mike Overson and his awesome team here. Luminate Bank is a wonderful local bank. Interest rates are in the low 6s still, about 6.25 for a 30-year fixed. It's been very similar as we look here, Scott, going back in May of this year, rates were almost near 7.
Yep.
Yeah, close to 7. If I look back even in January of this year, they were a little bit over 7. So that dip has helped, definitely.
Yeah, it has. And for people to just have a real clear understanding of this, a 6% interest rate is a good interest rate. If you look over the last 40 years, I don't know the numbers, right? I could probably look it up, but I would say that we probably have averaged 6% over the last 40 years. People have to shake the pandemic thought that we're going to see stuff back in the 3s and the 4s again. We're not. That was that we it was like being invaded by aliens. If something crazy happens to, and obviously it sets the everything on its ear, but that's not happening again. So 6.25, 5.75, 6%. Those are very good rates.
I had a text from a listener said, Scott, I do not agree. I love turkey. There you go, bud.
Well, you're the one out there that. No, I know people like turkey. I just don't see people ordering it when they go out to eat. So I think it's like a manufactured day.
Yeah, it is a little football fun. We hope you and your families, friends, you were able to relax a bit. We had a great O'Neill Thanksgiving yesterday. And just a lot to be thankful for. And I know we're already up against our first break. We can keep chatting on it.
Yeah, maybe a teaser question. When we get back, Zillow, I believe, put a article out that pricing for the first time over the last year, I think, has actually gone backwards. And we're going to handle that when we come back. I'd love to hear your thoughts for any agents out there that are listening. Are you feeling that? We'll talk about what we feel when we get back.
Yeah, 612-294-6949 is how you can reach us at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend's starting off well. If you are out and about on the Twin Cities roads, drive safely. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us on social media. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And stuffing, you need to have more stuffing more often, Scott.
Oh boy, I would love to. It's my Achilles heel. Well, stuffing and the gravy. So I was in charge this year of the turkey, the stuffing, and the gravy.
Turkey stuffing and gravy. There you go.
So I go to make the gravy, and it's too salty. And I'm like, what in the world? I didn't even put salt in it. Well, then I realized because I was using the drippings from the turkey, I had salted the turkey, which of course ran into the drippings.
Mm.
So it was a conundrum there for about 15 minutes to get the gravy less salty.
Just had a comment saying, are you guys seeing most sellers do the full seller's disclosure or the seller's disclosure alternative? Your thoughts on that, Scott?
I'd say it's 95%, 5%. I mean, if I was to stick numbers to it, 95% of anyone that's lived in the house, is a normal seller, lived in the house for 10 years, and now they're selling. They're doing the normal state disclosure. Where you see the alternative used a lot is in a house that's maybe in disrepair, where they're like, look, we're just selling it as is. So they can still do their inspection, they can do whatever they want, but we're selling it as is. Or a lot of times we'll see it with investors or bank owns, where the banks never lived in the property, the investors never lived in the property.
Sure.
And so they do an alternative that basically just says, we don't know. We haven't lived in there. We're not exactly sure of every little thing that's happened. So do your due diligence, buy the property if you want.
And technically, again, a seller can do either one. So even if you have lived in the house and you've lived there for 20 years, you can still do that seller's disclosure alternative. One of the reasons people do home inspections, we encourage people to do home inspections. We're seeing home inspections, I would say, in a very high percentage of the offers right now. Obviously, there's certain areas and price points where there's a good amount of activity, but still a lot of home inspections, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to 2001, that entire year in my sales, I think I had one home inspection that was done. In the 25 years prior to that, I can't even think on one hand when we didn't have a home inspection, because you couldn't buy a house. There were 30, 40 offers on everything, and there's risk associated with everything you do. And unfortunately, at that time, you had to waive it, but we're not seeing that anymore. Things have settled in. Most homes are having a home inspection on it.
Yeah, again, we've got a couple of text questions that have come in. We'll get back to on air. 612-294-6949. Here we go. Welcome back to the second act, or the second segment. Thank you. I was a little loss of words there, Scott. A little maybe too much turkey for me.
Well, it's because you've been practicing your holiday show, so you're used to the second act, the first act.
That's right. And speaking of holiday shows, we are getting the band back together. The O'Neill Brothers. We are doing two holiday concerts here at the Edina Performing Arts Center, December 20th, 3 weeks from today, a 2:00 and 7:00 show. We're bringing in the Marilyns, two sisters who were featured on The Voice. They're joining us in concert. It's a fun show. There's some tickets both for the 2 and the 7:00. All the money that the ticket sales, everything that we raise from it goes towards the O'Neill Foundation of Hope for the families and individuals that we are helping each week. Scott, it's a fun show. PianoBrothers.com is where you can go to learn more. We got to bring you on stage.
Oh my gosh.
That would be fun.
Do you have a cowbell? I could do a cowbell.
That would be fun.
That's about all I could possibly do.
We're going to bring Scott on stage, but check that out, PianoBrothers.com. Appreciate the support of the all the listeners as well. Scott had a question that says, reverse mortgage. Can you please explain what is a reverse mortgage? And have you ever recommended a reverse mortgage at all? Have you recommended it, Scott?
I have. That's a hard question. I will say this: a reverse mortgage is probably good for a very, very small percentage of the elderly population. And what a reverse mortgage is, it's just like a mortgage, except it's reverse. So instead of you paying a certain amount every month, I'll just use a number. Let's say you have $500,000 of equity in your house and you are 70 years old and you would like to take a certain amount of money monthly until the time that, you either, go to a better place or whatever. So it's reverse. So instead of you paying $3,000 a month to pay a mortgage, your reverse mortgage pays you. So every month you would get $3,000. Month 2, you'd be another 3. So now you're at 6. Month 3, now you're at 9, and so on and so forth, until you burn through the $500,000. So it's a reverse mortgage. It pays you instead of you paying it. the reason I caution people and make sure you're talking to a Mike Overson or a very, very good lender, because it's normally used for elderly people. I've seen some very bad stuff that's happened through the years. So just be cautious of it. It can be a very good tool. I mean, if you're at the situation where you need additional money every month and you're retired and you've got that kind of equity, there's nothing wrong with it. Just understand how it works and that you are eating up the value of your property because they're paying you cash.
Yeah, the other couple of things I thought of, Scott, again, for maybe seniors who are more kind of equity rich, cash poor, it can help free up some money for perhaps medical expenses, in-home care, maybe rising property taxes, general living costs. And the other thing we've seen sometimes too, if the homeowner, as they kind of say, wants to age in place and avoid moving, essentially maybe they want to stay in the home and do like a modification, a ramp, a bathroom, accessibility, safety improvements. And then the last one I thought of too is maybe if there's if they have no heirs at all, maybe they have no heirs who want the property, that they start tapping into the equity to allow them basically to enjoy that. Because again, if they pass away and now the home has to be sold, well, that $500,000 or whatever the number is goes to somebody.
Well, and the reason I cautious, all these loan products work real well in a very appreciating market. You know, you take a $500,000 reverse mortgage. 2 years from now, your house is worth 600. 5 years from now, it's worth 700. Great, that works awesome. But where I caution is, today your home is worth $500,000. So you could cash out, take that money, put interest on it, and you could live off of that, versus taking a reverse mortgage where right now your house is worth $500,000. But what if the market tanks like we had in 2008, and 6 years from now your house is only worth $300,000?
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to keep writing you that check. They're going to reevaluate that mortgage. And all of a sudden now you've been banking on this money where if you had sold your house, put it in a tax, in an interest-bearing account, you'd still have access to it. Now all of a sudden that's gone. So again, just understand the ups and downs to it.
Yeah, and of course we're not saying, and we don't think that's going to happen. There isn't any type of repeat of 2008 where values are going to drop. In fact, to Scott's point of prior to the break, there was a recent article that came out that said values have dropped. We're not seeing that. As a real estate team here in Minnesota, we are not seeing it. We're not feeling it. There's certainly been a little flattening, if you will, perhaps in certain price points and areas. But again, to our first segment, with inventory at very, very low levels, there's still an imbalance, Scott. And before you comment on that, they said, a texter said, regarding briefcase gate, where Scott's briefcase was stolen. He said, he or she said, when is Scott going to come clean that he left his car unlocked?
It is very true. I left my car unlocked. I don't lock my car.
You don't?
I don't. I don't know. I never have been. I've never locked it. So yes, totally my fault. And for those that haven't followed it, somebody stole my briefcase. Ryan and I were watching him from the studio window, and he ended up dumping it in the parking lot, and a very good Samaritan had called me, and I was able to retrieve my briefcase. It was a very nice gentleman. And I'm sure the guy that stole my briefcase was very disappointed because except for a few market analysis, there was not a lot of value to it.
It's a good question. What is one of the biggest mistakes that a Minnesota home buyer can make? One of the biggest mistakes a Minnesota home buyer can make. Scott, anything come to your mind?
Oh gosh, this is just a general thought that popped into my mind. One of the mistakes a lot of buyers make is the comment that doesn't bother me, or that's fine with me. So for example, when you show a house and it backs to a busy road, and I tell the client, hey, look, the value is just not there. It's not making any sense. When you sell this, your appreciation is going to be lower, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, no, it doesn't bother us at all. A lot of times buyers say that. The problem is it doesn't really have anything to do with whether it bothers you. It has to do with whether it bothers the masses, because at some point you're going to sell that property.
Good point.
And so that's the one that kind of popped into my brain right away, because you do have to caution people. Well, we only one sink in the master bathroom. Sounds like a minor deal. If you can't put a double sink in there, it's a big deal. And so when you have someone that says, "Oh, that's all right, it's just my husband and myself," it doesn't bother us. Well, it doesn't bother you, but you're going to have to sell that property, and it's going to bother everybody else.
Yeah, important to know sellability. That's a really good point. I think one thought I had was just I think it's natural. It's human nature to kind of wait until the perfect time for everything converging. Interest rates, type of home, just a variety of things. And as we know, life is not perfect, and there is no perfect house out there. And so sometimes that can be a challenge for buyers. Not only investors, you think of investors that look for the perfect investment property. That's a huge issue for really analytical buyers. Really struggle with that. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to settle. We're not saying, oh, those realtors are just trying to get us to settle for something. Really, again, where that wealth is created is over time. It's over 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And maybe it's not the perfect buy, but again, it's a 7 out of 10 of your family's needs or something like that.
Well, in a fast moving market, this is a real good example of this. Back in 2001, I was working with obviously different price points back then, but I remember we were looking at $130,000 to $140,000 split level homes in Eagan and Apple Valley. And it took us 6 months for him to find a house. Very picky. The same exact houses that we were looking at for $130,000, eventually 6 months later, he bought for $182,000. Same houses. That's just how quickly they were going up in price. And so, again, from a financial decision, that 6 month waiting time cost him, $50,000, $60,000, because that's how quickly they were going up. So sometimes, depending on your situation, there are I'm not settling on anything. This is my forever house, and I've got all the time in the world, and I just want the right house. Versus, if you're a first-time home buyer, you're looking for an equity builder. Something that you're buying. Hopefully, you're buying it correctly. It's in an area that's going to go up exponentially. So in 3 or 4 years, you're putting 50, 60 grand in your pocket, and you're moving on to the next house. So there's different motivations and different things you should look at depending on where you're at in the buying pool.
Hey, before the break, we like to do just a minute of hope for the O'Neill Foundation of Hope, just to share a story or two of folks that we were able to meet and help here this past week. Scott, this past week met a wonderful mother by the name of Amber, helped her catch up on a mortgage payment. Kind of the short backstory. She is in a pretty hardcore battle with an ex who had been accused of abusing their daughter. Ended up, she had a very high-risk pregnancy, emergency early delivery of her son. Obviously, it affected her ability to work, having to take off a bit more time from work. Her husband is working, but they are behind on everything. They had reached out to us, had already connected with a lot of other resources as well. Just a wonderful person, and we were super grateful to have met her and helped. And then the other one, Scott, again, a mother who was in a terrible car wreck. She was T-boned. She sustained multiple injuries: a broken leg, ankle, heel, ribs, brain injury, facial lacerations. She woke up in the hospital. She had reached out. She was nominated by a friend, and her friend had nominated her at O'Neill Hope. And she was behind on her rent and needed help getting caught up on her rent to obviously avoid being homeless. She too had reached out to a variety of different programs, is working very hard to rebuild her life. And so, Scott, just a couple folks that we met, helped this past week. Hardships. People experience hardships. We step in, unexpected hardships. We do our best to help in a small way. O'NeillHope.org is where you can go to nominate someone who may be going through a very difficult time.
Such a cool deal. And again, the concert that you're doing this year, all that money goes back into the O'Neill Foundation of Hope. And for those that haven't traced it, this is relatively new, a couple years, and you were able to start helping, one family every few weeks. And then as it got more popular, now you're able to help 2 to 3 families a week.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just incredible. And for those of you that are like, well, I don't want to go to a charity because I don't know how the money's being used. Trust me, it's being used for these families. And these families only. You can bank on that, and it's just a cool deal.
Yeah, appreciate it, Scott. No, great. We appreciate your support as well, CCO listeners. Everybody's doing their part. A lot of great charities and organizations, but we appreciate all of the CCO listeners. Hey, we're at the halfway point at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Josh is here with us in studio today. He worked, by the way, you worked all of Thanksgiving, bud.
I did.
What is up with that?
Yeah, I was here bright and early and didn't leave till about 3 o'clock.
You better be getting double time for that.
I will.
I'll
pass it along to Brad.
Yes.
It's the radio business. I doubt that's the case.
Yeah.
Hey, we appreciate you, though. Thanks for being here. Again, this is the halfway point of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Scott, those are some interesting questions. Biggest mistake how about biggest mistake seller? What do you think? Biggest or one of the biggest mistakes?
Well, that's easy. The biggest mistake for a seller is not listening to your trusted real estate agent and pricing your home correctly. And it's the age old knock heads, because a seller is like, well, he or she just wants to sell my house quickly, so they can get paid. If that is your thought with the realtor you're hiring, get a different realtor.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if that is even in your mind that this agent wants to do something to move your house quickly so they can get paid, I'm telling you right now, switch realtors.
Yeah.
Because that discussion that you have when you sell your house on pricing is the most important. How do you get the most butts in the seat in the fewest amount of time to maximize the potential that you can get on your home? That happens in that first 2 weeks. You get beyond that, and it is catch-up time, and you do not walk away with as much money. And for those of you that are saying, well, I can wait because I can wait for my offer, what you're saying is, if I wait for my offer, I'm going to get more money, and it is the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard. Again, the natural thing as a seller is, you think, look, I know this is what you talk about in the market and different things, but our house is different. We have this, and you just need someone honest, fair, just a straight shooter that's going to share the market conditions with you, share the numbers, do a really good market analysis based upon your home, your neighborhood, price point, location, the pros and cons of your home, and just help you really understand that. One kind of fun thing, Scott, I know you've done it too over the years, is sometimes with sellers, we'll actually go look at a few homes.
Take them out.
Yeah, go out and look, see, compare. Maybe the seller is unhappy with your price recommendation, and you go look at 2, 3, 4, 5 other homes. Well, that helps you see what's on the market. If they see one, it's been on the market 90 days, and it's at a lower price, well, it helps you understand things.
Yeah, well, and understand this: unless you have a dome home, that is, unless you have something that is just so bizarre that an agent might have a problem with evaluation. I don't care if you're 200,000 or 2 million. There's not a big swing. The numbers are pretty easy. That is what your home is worth. And when you get on the high side of it and you start chasing that, what's the first thing that every buyer says? What's wrong with the property? Why isn't it sold? What's going on? Why have they reduced it 4 times? That does not bode for better money.
Yeah. Again, we've got some other good texting. Texting questions coming in as well. It's good. We've got a lot of activity. Don't hesitate to call too. If you got questions for us, you certainly can call here as well. We're going back live on air right now. Welcome back to the second half of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate it. And just had another texter. This one was good. He said, he or she said, thanks. This was in response to the reverse mortgage answer makes sense and is helpful. I have some tough love for you. Drop the briefcase theft. You guys are Minnesota goats. I'd say I've learned from it, and it won't happen again to me.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll drop it.
We'll drop it. No, we'll learn from it.
Onward and upward. This one says, greetings. Do you have any information on twin homes for sale in Duluth, up in the Duluth area? Scott, twin homes for sale up in Duluth.
Well, first of all, we have the twin home expert in Duluth, Paul Dokauer.
Paul is up there.
Yep. So if you're looking for an agent, just go to the Minnesota Real Estate Show website, and you can find Paul Dokauer. But twin homes, for those that don't understand the difference, when people say twin homes, a lot of times they're talking about a home attached to each other. So there's one on one side, one on the other, and they call that a twin home. That's not a twin home. That's the description of a twin home. But a twin home typically does not have an association fee, where a twin home looking townhome does have an association fee. So the downfall to twin homes are your neighbor could paint their place purple and right down the middle because they own it. It's not part of an association. And in Duluth itself, do I know of any twin homes particularly? I do not, Ryan.
Yeah, again, Paul Dokauer. So our team is called the Minnesota Real Estate Team. We obviously cover the whole state of Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Paul and his lovely wife Krista are up in the Duluth area. And just even again, as we got your question and even searching, there are some listings available, both twin home, obviously, as well as multifamily. So some 2, 3, 4 unit properties. Generally speaking, Scott, again, with that twin home, people will go that route to have like a townhome living without the HOA. Without the HOA. Again, the risk, though, is the neighbor. Are you playing nicely with the neighbor? Are you going to be in unison with exteriors, roofing, those types of things? Twin homes, that's I don't know, it's an interesting question.
Yeah, and again, it's the reason I wanted to explain it is a lot of times you'll ask somebody, where do you live? And they'll say in a twin home. And you always have to look, because normally all they mean is they're living in a side-by-side townhome. And because the style looks like a twin home, that's what they call it. But it is the difference between having an association or not having an association, which is also, to complicate it more, does not mean that if you have a twin home, you cannot do an association. There are twin homes that have been built where, let's say there's 10 of them, and everybody gets together and they do their own little association. But typically, one has an association, one does not.
Yeah, we had, again, some questions just regarding any other mistakes buyers make. One, it was interesting this week. I was messaging with an agent on the team regarding older homes and not understanding. This was a first-time home buyer, not understanding some of the natural pitfalls of older properties, whether it is, specific type of electrical wiring, specific maybe older sewer lines. The question came up regarding mold, and obviously mold can be an absolutely terrible thing, and an understanding mold though with the home. Thoughts on some of those things, Scott?
Yeah, mold, it's got a bad rap. I mean, all of us that grew up in the 70s, I grew up in East Grand Forks, and any place in the basement where there was darkness and a little moisture, you're going to get mold. So mold's been around forever. It got the bad rap with the black mold that came out kind of around the time that we were having so many stucco issues when they switched over to Category 5 and made the houses tighter. But so yeah, you want to have an air quality test. Find out what you're dealing with. Not all mold is deadly. A lot of mold is just, you have a dark place underneath your sink and gets a little wet, you're going to get mold there.
Yeah, and it's important, again, as a buyer to understand, and this was just a story I'll share. I got a phone call yesterday from an agent on the team who had called, and we are representing the seller. And in this case, the buyer, it's a first-time home buyer. They're having a baby. And they recently got in an accident, a car accident, and have not been able to work full time. So the question was, they no longer can get qualified with the lender.
Yeah.
Well, the agent reached out to Mike Overson, had a good conversation with Mike, and in situations like this, a doctor can provide a letter regarding the situation that basically still allows the funding of the transaction. And I guess my point with all this is a first-time home buyer buying this property, and because they're having a baby and a variety of different things happening over the escrow period, they came to the conclusion, maybe this isn't a good time to buy. And it's supposed to close on Monday. Well, our seller needs to close. Our seller is elderly, is expecting to close, needs the money for the next stage of their life. And so people have to remember they're in a contract,
Right.
and they can't just arbitrarily just call the other agent and say, you know what, we're having a kid, we're out.
Yeah. Well, you can try that.
Sure.
But you are under a contract. You can be sued to perform. Now, the majority of times that doesn't happen because it's lengthy, timely, and expensive. But yeah, people, this is not, this isn't a gym membership. I mean, you're entering into a very large transaction that have lives. Lives are uprooted. You have people that are moving out. They have their moving truck loaded. You're moving in, and so when one decides, you know what, it doesn't feel right a week before closing. There should be some pain involved in that because families' lives are upheaval.
Yeah, I got a nice question again this week from John Rorick, who is with Holmes Mortgage. It just mentioned he listens to the show, catches it, has for years, and again, our commentary was interesting about the article that was in the Business Journal that was posted on X that said over half of the Twin Cities homes have decreased in value between October and the year before, the most out of any large metro area in the Midwest. And he said, thought it'd be a good subject to tackle. See if you're starting to see a small drop in values, Scott, how that could affect affordability.
Well, what we've seen, we were talking about it earlier, because I totally disagree with this. One, it was done by Zillow, and no hammering on Zillow, but if they're using their Zillow estimates to come up with these numbers, then I don't trust it whatsoever. I look at, there's been one drop in value. There was a 4-month period in 2021 where you were paying for a 2.7% interest rate. Those homes are not at the value they were in 2001. But you eliminate those 4 months where people were paying for a payment, and I think year over year we're probably 3-4%.
Yeah, it's been slowly ticking up.
Yeah. So we've seen a flattening. We're not at 8-9%, but we're still at a 3-4% appreciation scale. I will tell you this: when I do a market analysis, I will now go back a year, and I do not give an appreciation adjustment in anything that is under $700,000. I'm sorry, anything over 700,000. Under 700,000, they might have a 1 or 2% or 3% appreciation scale, but over that, it's been relatively flat. So I think that's probably what people are seeing is, well, wait a minute, my neighbor who's my exact same house sold a year ago for this number. I should be worth this number. Yeah, that's not happening.
Hey, before the break, Paul, we were just talking about him. Paul Dokauer has a listing in Brooklyn Park, 8468 Yates Avenue in Brooklyn Park, for $245,000. Paul said it's got low association dues at $225 a month, and that includes insurance. It's a super bright corner unit, 2 walkouts, 1 to the deck and 1 to a very nice green space. You have a yard at this townhome. It's got a brick fireplace for those chilly nights. And again, 8468 Yates Avenue in Brooklyn Park for $245,000. Check that property out. We're at our final break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us on social, Scott. We got that snow coming down still.
Yeah, I know. It's I don't think we're going to get that much.
Yeah, not a ton.
Yeah, we were supposed to get 7-inch the other morning. I think we only got a couple. So yeah, it's I was laughing about, they were talking about, we've got another snowstorm coming. I mean, these are not snowstorms.
Yeah.
It's like when I was a kid going to grade school, we looked like a line going up the Himalayan mountains. I mean, you could barely see each other in front of you. We still walk to school. Now you get a couple inches and everything is shutting down.
Yeah, it is. Actually, the roads were not bad. Even driving down here, roads were not terrible at all.
No.
Coming down. Again, hard to believe we're already end of November, coming into 2026. What do we think next year? Again, historically low levels of inventory still right now. This is, again, without sounding like a broken record, this is a great time to look at potentially purchasing. There's obviously less demand this time of year. Agents, Scott, some agents really hibernate this time of year.
Mhm.
Some really continue to dig in. It's a great time to find good purchases for your buyers.
Oh my God.
And there's a lot of people still moving for all kinds of reasons. Again, death, divorce, relocation, first-time home buyers, investors, even in the winter in Minnesota, stuff's happening.
Oh yeah. Things don't shut down. They do get a little bit slower at this point, just because people kind of gear up for spring. But yeah, in Minnesota, if you're going to buy a house, you're going to do some of it in the snow. So it's as good a time as any. And again, if you're a buyer and only a buyer, these last 3 months, October, November, December, and half of January is your best time of the year for you to buy a house.
Yeah. Interesting. Again, pitfalls. This one just says pitfalls for investors. Pitfalls for investors, I'd say kind of analysis paralysis, perhaps. You want to do a good analysis on every property, have your agent help you, but it can also paralyze you if you're looking for the perfect property. I would say that's a really big pitfall. Also, I would say maybe expecting things too quickly. Real estate takes time. So, you got to give yourself some time with the process. Certainly you can be making some cash flow every month, but you need some time, Scott.
Yeah, we were talking about pricing earlier and why it's so important. And what sellers need to understand, what people need to understand is we've got this mindset that you can wait for your offer, meaning that that you could lose some money by underpricing it. And in this market, you cannot do that. It's impossible. So what a lot of people think of, if you haven't sold your house for 15 or 20 years, you think in terms of we put it on the market, over 6 months, we get 4 or 5 showings, and oh my gosh, we got to do a price reduction. Well, if you're in that market, you can make a listing mistake. But we're not in that market. You price it, you've got 15, 20 showings in the first 3, 4, 5 days. You should be gone 4 times at that point. So you cannot underprice it.
Here we go back live on air. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate it. Welcome back to the final segment of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate it. Hope you're... Whoa. What's going on there?
I don't know.
Hope your Saturday is going well here. And
Maybe your setup. We'll see.
well, sorry about that. We got a little mic. Maybe I'll adjust it a little bit more.
Well, let's jump over to 3. I'm going to make the executive producer decision.
All right. We'll jump over here. Yeah, again, we appreciate you joining us, Scott. Final segment. What do you think going into 2026?
2026. If you are prepping for doing anything in real estate in 2026, if you're thinking about selling and you're thinking about buying, right now is the time to meet with your agent. Come up with a plan of when you're thinking, what the time frame is, get a preliminary look at what the numbers are going to look like. Obviously, you'll need to redo another market analysis when you get closer to the time. But planning is important, and we are going to have a very, very busy spring again. If we're at about 10,000 homes right now, that means we're going to be at 7,500, 8,000, by the time we get to the 3rd week in January. And that is just a gangbuster price point and a gangbuster amount of homes on the market.
Yeah, again, low inventory and strong demand. We were just saying, even in the middle of winter, stuff's still happening, Scott. We got people buying, selling, investing, relocation. Even when the snow flies, we've got some things happening.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's for everybody this year. We talk a lot about real estate in the Twin Cities, but there's also the snowbirds. So if you're looking to move to Florida or move to Arizona or move to any warmer location, we always tell the joke, we've got a top agent that is either licensed on our team that is in those areas, or we've got top agents in those areas. So if you are going to be relocating, or you are looking at maybe buying a second property, we can definitely put you in with a top agent. And back to buying, what buyers' mistakes can be made out there. I would say one of the biggest ones is do not do this on your own. There's a lot of questions now with the new commissions and whatever, and we're starting to see people kind of fly blind out there on their own because they think they're saving commission. The biggest mistakes I see through the years is when you have an unrepresented buyer buying a property from an unrepresented seller. That's the biggest combo. Somebody normally takes a big hit on that because we think in terms of the house was listed at $5. I had this once. Scott, we got the best deal on this place. Oh, great. It was listed at $500. We knocked them down all the way to $400,000. Awesome. So I looked at it. Unfortunately, it was worth $275. So they thought they were getting this great deal because they got $100,000 off the list price. They weren't represented, and the house was worth $275,000. So they were upside down on it, $100,000. So always have somebody representing your side. These are big numbers. Big mistakes can be made. If you're thinking in terms of I'm going to save 2% or whatever, this isn't the playground you want to play in.
Hey, one other listing to touch on in Prior Lake. This one is for $400,000. Address is 14200 Timothy in Prior Lake, and it is listed with Justin Voss. He just says, get your ticket to Prior Lake and boating. The home has private lake access. Again, 3-car garage, shop along the backyard deck, a fenced-in yard. And it just goes on to say it's, again, 4-bed, 2-bath, great location in Prior Lake. Scott, Prior Lake has become a really hot lake. People love Prior Lake for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, well, it's one of the two big water lakes in the area. You've got Minnetonka that's plus 10,000 acres, and Prior Lake and all its connecting lakes is plus 6,000 acres. So, if you can't afford Minnetonka, and a lot of people cannot, or just as a location they don't want, Prior Lake's an awesome lake. They've got Charlie's on the lake. They've got, a lot of just really cool, little cool inlets. It's a great fishing lake. Prior's awesome.
Yeah, again, in the last few minutes here, just want to mention again, Tim and I are doing our holiday concerts 3 weeks from today. PianoBrothers.com is where you can go to learn more. It's a 2 o'clock and a 7 o'clock show. We're bringing in the Marilyns from The Voice. A fun show, singing, playing on the 2 pianos. All the money raised goes for the O'Neill Foundation of Hope. And we're 3 weeks away, Scott. It's coming up soon.
Yeah, it's a fun concert. For those of you listening that you're like, oh, that sounds weird or whatever. It's super cool. I mean, they play pianos against each other, but it's funny. They've got some really cool things in there with some of the kids. So if you've got a family of whatever with a few kids, they will absolutely love the concert.
No, appreciate it. We got to have a little fun in life, a little fun. And again, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We were yesterday at my brother Dan, his wife Janice's place, a wonderful condo downtown. And so everybody gathered. There were probably, 25, 30 of us in their condo building. Just kind of the whole floor is almost like the party room area. Just a wonderful time.
Are you guys green bean casserole people?
There was not a lot of green bean and casserole.
That is another thing. And for those that get offended by this, nobody likes green bean casserole. It is the
Josh. Look at Josh.
It is, except for Josh. Nobody likes green bean casserole. If you make it, it's the one that gets eaten the less. Just quit making it.
Oh, Scott. Well, we're coming up. Yes. That's how I feel as well. That's how I feel as well, Josh. Wherever you are catching the show, again, if you and your family, you have questions about your home value, you have questions about the market, maybe you have a family member, niece, nephew, someone looking to purchase, to invest in real estate, we would be honored again to help your family, to help your friends. Wherever you are listening to the show, we have a top agent on the Minnesota real estate team. Scott, for Thanksgiving, we did our big pie giveaway.
Yes.
Which was great this past week. So probably about 150 pies given out, something that just as the team we do for all of our agents, for our radio show partners. everybody that's part of the team. So it was a lot of fun at the pie giveaway.
Yeah, that's a question, Josh. So are you a pumpkin or apple pie person?
Pumpkin.
Yeah, you like everything that I don't like.
But it has to have whipped cream. I don't really do pumpkin. A lot of people do pumpkin straight up. I can't do that.
Yeah,
Like, it's fine, but like if if it needs something like whipped cream, it's not that good.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm a whipped cream guy.
Yeah, and it was about of the 150 pies, it was this year, I think, a little bit more pumpkin than apple. Normally, apple is the big winner.
I'm a cherry pie guy.
Yeah,
I love cherries. That's for
number
Thanksgiving.
one.
Yeah.
but and a big thanks to the wonderful folks that work with Sally Gill, Jay Lynn Mackey, Beth Novak. Did a wonderful job helping to prepare for that day too. So super grateful for that. Scott, fun show today. Again, we'll see you next weekend. Throughout the week, 612-294-6949 is how you can reach us with any questions, comments, thoughts. Last thoughts, Scotts?
Yeah, no, just if you're traveling, it's obviously we're getting a little bit of snow out there, so be safe. And again, enjoy the remainder of the weekend. It'll be interesting to watch the Vikes this weekend with a new quarterback.
Yeah, we got the Vikes coming on. Again, appreciate you joining us, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Drive safely. Again, reach out anytime to the Minnesota Real Estate team. We are here for you. Enjoy the rest of this weekend. Take care. Had a question. Pete had just asked, Scott, how did that property close? That was $100,000 over value. Was it a cash buyer that ended up? Do you remember how that one closed?
It was actually two priests that were the buyers. So I believe it probably was cash. It had to be 15 years ago.
But cash would have to be in something like that
because of the lack of appraisal. I think they were cash, but it stuck out with me. And there's been other ones like that where I'm just like, oh my gosh, because we're so used to, hey, these jeans are on sale for $50, so I get them for $15.
Yeah.
And I got a great deal. Well, that's not how real estate works. Real estate has a value.
Yeah.
And so what it's listed at is completely irrelevant. What it's actually worth is a pretty easy number to come up with.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, so many of you, and the nice messages. We really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again next weekend. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. And again, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Take care.